sailor, you're my first mate. We signed on together, we coupled our fate. Hauled up our anchor, determined not to fail. For the heart's treasure, together we set sail. With no maps to guide us, we steered our own course. Rode out the storms when the winds were gale force. Sat out the doldrums in patience and hope. Working together, we learned how to cope. Life is an ocean and love is a boat. In troubled waters, it keeps us afloat. When we started the voyage, there was just me and you. Now gathered round us, we have our own crew. Together we're in this relationship. We built it with care to last the whole trip. Our true destination's not marked on any chart. We're navigating for the shores of the heart. Life is an ocean and love is a boat. In troubled waters, it keeps us afloat. When we started the voyage, there was just me and you. Now gathered round us, we have our own crew. Life is an ocean and love is a boat. In troubled waters, it keeps us afloat. When we started the voyage, there was just me and you. Now gathered round us, we have our own crew. The city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. 1847 was the year it all began. Deadly pains of hunger drove 1 million from the land. They journeyed not for glory, their motive wasn't greed, a voyage of survival across the stormy sea. To the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. Some of them knew fortune and some of them knew fame. More of them knew hardship, died upon the plain. They spread throughout the nation, they rode the railroad cars, brought their songs and music to ease their lonely hearts. To the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall. There are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. In 1803 we sailed out to sea, out from the sweet town of Derry, for Australia bound. If we didn't all drown, the marks of our feathers we carried. In the rusty iron chains we cried for our wains, our good women we left in sorrow. As the mainsails unfurled, our curses we hurled on the English and thoughts of tomorrow. At the mouth of the foil bid farewell to the soil, as down below decks we were lying. Oh, Doherty screamed, woken out of a dream by a vision of bold Robert dying. The sun burned cruel as we dished out the gruel. Dan O'Connor was down with a fever. 60 rebels today bound for Botany Bay. How many will reach their receiver? Them to hell as our bow fought to swell. Our ship danced like a moth in the firelight. White horses rode high as the devil passed by, taking souls to Hades by twilight. 5 weeks out to sea, we were now 43. We buried our comrades each morning. In our own slime we were lost in the time, endless night without dawn. Back home in Derry. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. Van Diemen's Land is a hell for a man to end out his whole life in slavery, where the climate is raw and a gun makes the law. Neither wind nor rain care for bravery. 20 years have gone by, I've ended my bond. My comrades ghosts walk behind me. A rebel I came, I'm still the same. On the cold winds of the night you will find me. Oh, I wish I was back home in Derry. As I was walking home one evening, I know this takes some believing, I met a group of creatures with the strangest looking features. A poor old dog and a worm and a wee indeed, and a fine old pigeon, yes indeed. A daddy long legs jumped up sprightly and danced to the reel in the flickering light. Oh, round we go, heel to the toe. Then a daddy long legs jumped up sprightly and danced to the reel in the flickering light. On his thin and wispy spindles he was deft and he was nimble. His eyes were scientific and his dancing was terrific. And the rats and the worms they made it in, and the nettles in the corner took it in. Oh God, says I, tonight's the night, we'll dance to the reel in the flickering light. Oh, round we go, heel to the toe. Oh God, says I, tonight's the night, we'll dance to the reel in the flickering light. Then he looked at me directly with a gaze that could dissect me, and he asked me in a whisper, have you got any sisters? Good God Almighty, says I to him, what sort of a man do you think I am? I've only one, she's not your type, she wouldn't dance a reel in the flickering light. Oh, round we go, heel to the toe. I've only one, she's not your type, she wouldn't dance a reel in the flickering light. Says he, does she come from another planet? Has she got a bee in her bonnet? Does she do her daily duties? You never know, we might be suited. And the rats and the worms began to laugh, and some of them started shuffling off. We're going to have some fun tonight, getting ready for the reel in the flickering light. Oh, round we go, heel to the toe. We're going to have some fun tonight, getting ready for the reel in the flickering light. I could see he had no scruples when I looked into his pupils. They were purple or magenta, like a statue during Lent. I said I'd get her right away. Good man, says he, no, don't delay. We're going to have some fun tonight. Then he flipped his legs in the flickering light. Oh, round we go, heel to the toe. We're going to have some fun tonight. Then he flipped his legs in the flickering light. Then up stepped a red carnation, and they gave her an ovation. She was warm and enchanting as she slowly started dancing. And the bright old pigeon peeled his eye, and the nettles and the weeds began to sigh. Daddy long legs said, my oh my, are we ready for the reel in the flickering light? Oh, round we go, heel to the toe. Daddy long legs said, my oh my, are we ready for the reel in the flickering light? She was gentle, she was charming, and I heard him call her darling. He was graceful as a whisper, on his delicate legs of silver. And the rats and the worms were still as mice, and the poor old pigeon said, that's nice. A shimmering veil on a lovely bride, the dance to the